Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of College Football UK. As ever, I am your host Fletcher, and this podcast is brought to you by the W Network. Joining me today to talk about a big week 8 of college football action is Nick. How are you, Nick?
I'm fine, thank you.
And we've got Gary. How are you, Gary?
Very well, thank you, boys. Thank you. Very well.
Lovely. Well, we've got a big week. We've had a little bit of messing around this afternoon, a little bit of miscommunication. We will have another episode coming out later on this week, hopefully on Friday. If not, it'll be out on Saturday, where we will be talking with the guys from Union Jack Classic. Very, very, very excited for this one. But let's just get straight into it. Do we have some Nick news today?
We do have some Nick news. The staff are all back on back on duty. Um, the NCAA president is urging schools against doing deals with equity firms. Why? I mean, other than
Because they
other than
wanted,
to
other than the NCAA want to do the deals. I can't
yeah,
imagine why else. Hmm.
or keep the status
hmm
quo the same. So yeah, okay, whatever. Um, Obviously, Billy Napier got sacked. We'll talk about that in a minute on the coaching carousel. Um, Texas Tech have said that as a school, they no longer encourage or permit tortilla throwing. Every
Yes.
incident could now cost the Red Raiders a 15-yard penalty. And
Ooh,
so, as far as they are concerned, they do not want the fans to do it. So,
no more. Well,
no more tortilla throwing from Texas. College football playoff committee member Randall McDaniel will step away from his role for the rest of this season due to personal reasons. He will be back next year. Um, close to Gary's heart, FSU head coach Mike Norville's future will be decided at the end of the year. Bye
yep.
bye.
Bye bye.
And 2027 incoming QB Trent Seaborn has committed to Alabama Crimson Tide. And if I could find any more water jokes with that, I would have done. So
You
I've
would
just got Seaborn and Tide.
you would have really let in.
If
You would have been making
only there was,
waves. If
yeah, if
only you
only
could
there
be
was a
making.
team with the Pirates that he could sign for instead.
Listen,
Uh,
I'm having a whale of a time with all these water puns anyway, so
Whey!
But
Put a harpoon in everybody's comedy.
there you go.
okay.
Nice and quick.
Yeah, there's 60 million reasons why Mike Novell's future will be reviewed at the end of the season. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah. There have been a couple, as I mentioned, there's been a couple of high profile firings, or at least one very high profile firing, with Billy Napier finally, thank you, being sacked from Florida.
What
It
was the
was a
timing
hot
like? I mean,
topic
what?
last year. It's a hot topic now. It was about the right time, Gary.
I just think they must have known he was going to go, no matter what happened with Mississippi State game. It seemed odd to do it then.
Yeah, we had this
But
discussion a couple of weeks though, and every week that they kept him, it got significantly cheaper. And
mm,
I think after this week, they saved something like 6 million.
yeah, it
So
was like
by keeping him just a few more weeks, they saved themselves quite a bit of dough in sending him off. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names being touted about. Lane Kiffin seems to be the favourite. Um, so yeah, no doubt Marcus Freeman's name will be thrown in there, but he's just signed a new
Yeah.
deal at Notre Dame. I don't think he's going to
It
go
wasn't the
anywhere.
only one, was there? Who was the other coach that kind of jumped on the after Franklin went? There was somebody else who signed a massive contract extension, wasn't there?
It's Kurt Signetta.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. He got a bump in pay as well, didn't he?
And there you go. Franklin might find himself back in
Wouldn't
manage,
yeah.
back in charge quicker than he thought. Not saying
I
it'll be Florida, but
I think so.
There's plenty of roles out there, isn't there?
There will be plenty of opportunities for someone of James Franklin's caliber to walk back into work
Mhm.
as a head coach in Probably not until the end of the season, but it'll be by the end of the season. Someone will take him. You'd be daft not to, especially
I don't know. Would
given.
you take him in earlier because of the one transfer portal? Would you not want him in?
I think, well, hang on. If we look at, let me just get up real quick the coaching changes. So we've got Virginia Tech sacked Brent Pry, UCLA
Mhm.
have got rid of Deshaun Foster, Oklahoma State got rid of Mike Gundy, Arkansas, Oregon State, UAB, Florida, and Colorado State. How many of them are likely to make a bowl game? UCLA apparently now are on a
They're tearing it up now, aren't they? Yeah.
tear up, yeah. And I think there is someone in that building who may end up just getting given the job because they've done such a fantastic job anyway. There are a couple of those. I think you look at Florida have now, I think, very little opportunity to make a bowl game. Um,
I
I
think
was
it
going
was
to say
always an
Penn
outside
State.
chance anyway with them, wasn't it? Because of the schedule they had.
So if you think if you're not making a bowl game by early December, you can get someone in. Mid-December, you've got someone in. They don't have to deal with the bowl game. They can just get in, get straight in, get into things, and get into the transfer portal.
True. True. But yeah,
So.
there are a number of really nice landing spots for coaches. Um,
And
will we see coaches coming out of the G5, do you think? Or do you think now that all of these big names are kind of floating around in the pond, do we think it's more
so
likely that
there will be some names, I think. That there has to be a couple of names from the G5 coming forward. There has to be a couple of and assistant coaches and whatnot coming forward. But I think you will see a genuine bit of musical chairs going on, just one seat to the next one.
yeah,
Because even if it's a downgrade, and I say this in air quotation marks in program, there will be like James Franklin can go to most programs and make some form of a difference, especially if they're vacant a head coach.
hmm
They're a program that someone like James Franklin or potentially Billy Napier could walk in and help out.
I think Franklin still should go to UCLA is my thought process on that. I think that's a good one for him, but
Yeah.
we shall see. But yeah, I mean, as you say, it does seem like it's a shaking of the lazy Susan, and where the spinning stops is where the head coaches will then take up their new positions and start again for the next X amount of time.
Yeah. Um, with all that in mind, that it leads us from a chock-a-block week 8 of action. And we're going to start going around doing a few different bits in terms of how we record this podcast and some of the ways we're going to go about things because we're aware of the timings are a little bit long. Nick just won't shut up at all, and it's so hard to. So we're trying to figure out a way to get this to happen. And Sam as well is just horrible for it.
They're constant those two. They just constantly talk.
But we're going to go back through, as normal, this week and go through the top 25s, starting with number one ranked Ohio State, who got the
They
win
won.
at
Move on.
Ohio State just done. They
win.
won.
They
Rather
battered
unsurprising.
Wisconsin. Move on.
Yeah, they
Big,
got
big shocker.
huge win at Wisconsin, 34-0. Ohio State advances to 7-0. It's their second shutout of the year after week 2 when they beat Grambling State 70-0. First shutout in the Big Ten since week 11 of last season where they beat Purdue 45-0. And their first shutout on the road since September the 30th, 2017 where they beat Rutgers 56-0. Just a couple of stats. Julian Sayin went 36 of 42, 393 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's looking excellent as a true freshman, I've got to say. Jeremiah Smith was the top receiver with 9 of 13 for 97 yards, no touchdowns. Carnell Tate, however, was 6 receptions on 7 targets, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Animis and Will Kakmarek also both got touchdowns. 17-0 in the first quarter. 491 yards to 145 yards. Wasn't close. Ohio State went up early. Bob's your uncle came done. Then we go over to number 2 ranked Miami. Now this is
Oh dear.
This is where we start
where
to
we
get
start.
interesting.
They take a loss at home to Louisville, 24-21. Couple of bits. Miami are now 5-1. They're 1-1 in the ACC. Louisville moved to 5-1 and 1-1 in the ACC.
2-1 in the
Louisville's
ACC.
first road win versus a top five opponent in their history. Miami's 10-game winning streak at home that stretches since 18th of November 2023 is now gone. The last team to beat them at home was Louisville, 38
There
to
we go.
31. Now, just I watched this game. It was 0-0, where I think the game all of a sudden straight away starts to turn. Louisville run a fake field goal on 4th and 2 at the 4-yard line, get 3 yards, then it gets punched in for 1 yard touchdown straight after. Anything after that was a case of Louisville got one more score as well not long later. Catch as if you can. Miami couldn't.
Yep.
I thought the one thing about that game regarding Carson Beck is that all throughout this year and pretty much last year at Georgia, if you ask Carson Beck to just do his job and
Yeah.
let the rest of the team, I know that is his job, but if you let the rest of the team shine, let your receivers shine, let your running back shine, just take that backseat role and just do what you're supposed to do. If you give that job to Carson Beck, he's okay. He can do that. He will do that. He's great at doing that. But as soon as you ask him to start leading from the front and to start chasing a game and to start doing more and put more on his shoulders, he seems to, I don't want to say shit the bed, but he seems to just sort of panic, like deer in a headlights sort of thing. And he tends, that's when he makes his mistakes. So I think one you said about obviously Louisville going ahead early. I think Carson Beck has to look at himself and perform better. Really,
Absolutely. One fun stat, I'm trying to find it in my tweets. I did tweet this out. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Carson Beck struggled all game. Playing from behind, he's trying to play hero ball through 4 interceptions in the game. One of the best things though that Louisville did is Miami, while having Carson Beck, who is he's a good quarterback, who can, they took away his run game. Mark Fletcher Jr. has been fantastic. He's a very, very big part of the offense. They took Mark Fletcher Jr. out the game. He ran for a whopping 18 yards out of Miami's total 63 yards on the ground. You force Carson Beck to throw, you force him into those. And one of the things we've had a problem with at Georgia, as we were looking at him last year going into the draft, is he forces the ball too much. He's not the most accurate with it, and you saw that so much on Friday night that it just wasn't good enough, and Miami continuously struggled all game. One of the fun facts about it though was through the first 5 games, Miami had trailed in games for a combined 9 minutes and 12 seconds. By halftime, they trailed in the game for 23 minutes and 55 seconds because they were down. They were down with 8 minutes 5 seconds to go. 8 minutes 5 seconds on the clock in the first quarter, and then that was it. Then they were behind all
yeah,
game.
yeah. It's I don't know whether Miami just rolled into that game thinking, or this is whether they thought they had it won before the game, and came unstuck that way. But
Yeah.
they really stepped on a rake.
Absolutely. Now, we can speak so much about Miami's troubles and how Miami shot themselves in the foot and how Carson Beck threw 4 interceptions. No, don't enjoy pooping on people too much, but I'll enjoy talking about him having 4 interceptions. Can't go without saying again, Louisville's run stopping was absolutely excellent. Again, just to repeat, limited Miami to 63 yards on the ground and limited Mark Fletcher Jr. to only 18. However, Isaac Brown on his own for Louisville had 113 yards on the ground. Watch out Miller Moss, he was 23 of 37, 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chris Bell went 9 of 12 for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carson Beck's bad night, not only with the 4 interceptions, but when he was distributing the ball, it was somewhat efficient when he was being able to
It was a
distribute the
bad
ball.
old Carson Beck, wasn't it?
25 of 30, 25 of 35, 271 yards, sorry, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But he found a lot of success with Malachi Tony. He was 9 of 11, 135 yards, no touchdowns, but he did get one on the ground. So the one bright spark for Miami was Malachi Tony, who was, if there was anything they were getting going in the game, it was through Malachi Tony, and that was just that was about all they could get going. But Louisville did, like I said, did a great job of saying, "Go on then, Carson Beck, use your arm, beat us, I dare you." And Carson Beck pooped the bed.
The old Carson Beck appeared.
Yeah. So, as that's been said, Miami are now 5-1. They want to win the ACC. We're the front runners. We're unbeaten, and now that is over. Louisville with a huge statement win in Miami.
Doesn't help Nick either, does it?
Now, just a quick shout out. Last night, they had the FIU Vice Night in Miami. Kennesaw State turn up. So it's bad if you're a fan of a football team that is in Miami, it's just not a good time for you. The Samaritans are there to help if you need to talk to them.
Please reach out. Number will be in the links below.
Number 3 ranked Indiana. They walk away with a win over Michigan State, 38-13. Indiana are now 7-0. Michigan State moved to 3-4. That's 0-4 in the conference. The old brass spittoon trophy was at stake, which
Gotta love a
Indiana now
good
gets
trophy,
to take
don't we?
home.
We gotta love a good old trophy that's made of brass and spittoons and shillelaghs and whatever else are out there.
It is. We love the weird little trophies. Indiana are now back-to-back winners of the old brass spittoon trophy. Something they have never gone back. Well, they've not gone back-to-back in this rivalry game since 1968 to 1969. They won 3 in a row, 67, 68, 69. MSU had 2 points in the first 2 drives, but Indiana, quick adjustments, got into the game on defense, adjusted accordingly, and convincingly won the rest of the game.
Yep. Sorry, I was like you kind of covered everything there. It was just like that.
It's quite like
it was
like
almost
the Ohio
it was
game.
like a mic
So
drop. There was a bit of a mic drop there because we were like, yeah, you've kind of covered it all there. Thanks. Right, that's left us hanging. Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say that this isn't. We're gonna focus on some specific games. Games like this, a team, number 3 team beats a non-ranked team. This should happen. End of. Aiden Childs, 27 of 33, 243 yards and a touchdown. Mendoza, however, this is the important person is Mendoza. We're looking at him potentially as the number 1 pick in the draft next year right now. He was 24 of 28 for 332 yards and 4 touchdowns. Omar
he
Cooper
might win
Jr.
the Heisman, you know.
He very much might do. And he was throwing to Omar Cooper Jr., who was 8 of 8 for 115 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Williams had a touchdown. Elijah Surratt had 2 touchdowns. Just all around great distribution. Mendoza's playing fantastic football, and he's got some damn good talent to throw the ball to as well when he does it. Moving on to number 4 ranked Texas A&M, who got a win over Arkansas. Now this, it should be a nice easy win. Number 4 ranked. However, it wasn't. It was 45-42. Texas A&M are 7-0 for the first time since 1994. A&M have won 13 of the last 14 versus Arkansas, with the only loss coming in 2021. It was a game. Arkansas gave them a game.
They really did. So much so that there's been talk of a post-game, I believe, penalty as such has been levied against Texas A&M, whereby
$50,000 fine.
for feigning, should we say, feigning an injury, I believe is the
Yep.
terminology that they're using. Basically, one of their defenders, as Arkansas were driving, moving the ball down the field, ball had been spotted. The referees had already put it down, and then he kind of went down to say, "Ow, my leg hurts."
Yeah.
That's not gone
Maybe
down
his
too
leg
well.
did hurt.
Maybe it's. I mean, he went off. He went into the tent and everything else. So
I
I
mean,
would not like to cast aspersions against it.
it's
However,
yeah, go on, sorry, go.
it was the timing. I think was the problem. It was the way he did it. Maybe you would
Part
have
of the
known your
problem.
leg. Part of the problem was the timing. Part of the problem is also just it just looked shady.
Part of the problem was him walking around without a problem, then waiting for the ball to be spotted, looking at the sidelines, and his coach going,
And then he went "Oh," and
and
fell
then
like
he
a
sits down
flop.
and goes, "Ah, my
Yeah.
leg." Um, Goes out one play, comes back in next play. Like it's Arkansas had noticed it straight away. They were running up the sidelines, going, "Come on, man!" Like,
Flag calling. They were calling for the flag, weren't they? Yeah.
but like I said, the big problem they have is that it was Tyreek Chappelle. Looking over at the sidelines. Sidelines are saying, "Go down, go down, go down." He takes two steps back and then sits down and goes, "Ah."
Mm. Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. It was a bit
So
of a flop.
yeah, it was $50,000 for that. Upon review post game,
Mm.
by the SEC. Um.
Other than that, bloody damn good game of football.
It
Don't
was.
don't want that to be overshadowed by what is just a minimal. I think it's the first time that that penalty has been levied. It was mentioned that they'll be on the lookout for it. So it's just worth mentioning because I think it's the first time.
Yeah, it was a damn good game of football, and at the end of the day, what really we need to walk away from is just go. Both of these quarterbacks had a day, right? Again, I don't want to just read out box scores, but Taylor Green was 19 of 32, 256 yards, three touchdowns. Then on the ground had 11 attempts for 86 yards and two touchdowns. Mike Washington had 16 receptions for 147 yards, including
16
a
carries.
brilliant 16 carries, sorry, including a brilliant 57-yard breakaway. Marcel Reed went 23 of 32, 280 yards, three touchdowns, had six attempts for 55 yards and one touchdown. So both quarterbacks between them made for 9 touchdowns in this game, 6 in the air and 3 on the ground. Both of them were fantastic.
Big points in the fantasies if you had those QBs this week. Woof. And one of those games where, Arkansas always, to me, seem like one of those teams that are always tough. They're never quite there in terms of, knocking on the top echelons of the door, but they're an SEC team. They're a tough team. You never get an easy game. And, they were at home and they turned up.
Yeah. Nick, have you got anything to add to this game?
No, I mean I didn't actually watch this game. I was watching other games going on. So, it's one of those you can't actually watch everything. So I didn't watch it, but obviously watching the score and whatever else, you start then paying attention. So, yeah, Texas A&M obviously made it a lot harder than they needed to. Um, I think from my personal point of view, I'm glad they got the win. Same as I would have preferred Miami to win. But you know, at this stage in the season, we talked about it off air beforehand. At this stage of the season, every win counts. So
Yep.
you've just got to keep winning. You've got to keep winning because one defeat is going to cost you big time. Just keep winning.
Just keep
Just
winning.
keep winning.
It's got to be Nemo.
So yeah, I mean, they got out of jail. They got away with it. Whether it's another Miami where they just walked into there thinking they could breeze it and they didn't. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I will say this: I did get a good chunk of this game in, and I will say I don't think it was particularly that. It maybe partly, but I also just think Arkansas just gave him a damn good game. Turned up, really wanted to put on a show, and did put on a show. Like I said,
Yeah.
they were fantastic throughout the whole game. Arkansas, and maybe would say you deserve to walk away with something. At the end of the day, they didn't. It's unfortunate. So. Next up was Ole Miss, who lost at Georgia 35 to 43. Georgia are now 6-1, 4-1 in the SEC. Ole Miss go 6-1, 3-1 in the SEC. It's Georgia's first top five win at home since in excuse me in 3 years. I believe. Although that statement might be slightly incorrect. I'm
Just
not
goes to
sure.
show how often they play top teams.
Uh, the game was. I want to talk about the before the game first, right? The slightly before the game. These two head coaches know each other. They were both at Alabama together under Saban. They have a very good relationship, and Lane Kiffin is a troll. Is probably the best way to describe it. Funny one, but he's a bit of a troll as well. They have a good relationship, and Kiffin definitely brought the banter. Earlier in the week, Lane Kiffin was taking swipes at Kirby Smart's weight. He uh, also, morning of the game, decides to go do what we are now dubbing hot yoga and post a shirtless photo with two attractive young yoga teachers first thing in the morning. Smart throughout the week reminisced on with Pat McAfee on Lane Kiffin being a distraction while they were together at Alabama in team
Mm-hmm.
meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then took the opportunity after the game, after the win, to take a swipe back at Lane Kiffin and thank him for the hot yoga tickets. The football game, though, was a very, very good one. Very even up until the fourth quarter. Did either of you two get this game? Get any of this game in?
I thought I can stand by and say that the first 2 minutes were more exciting than the rest of the game because I fell asleep. I managed to stay up, watch the first 2 minutes, and I don't remember much after
Yeah.
that.
I did not stay up for this one, so I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
Just the box score as such, it was too late, and I had a big Sunday coming in. So
You did. Well, I'll give a bit on it then. Ole Miss were 21-20 up at the half, 9 point lead, and had a 9 point lead early in the fourth. It was a very even game, felt like blow for blow for blow for blow. Both teams going. It truly felt like two very good teams going at it. And we've seen this though
it's what
with,
you would expect from a top 10
yeah,
ranked
you
matchup, right?
absolutely would. And it very much lived up to that kind of hype. Georgia, though, however, make it a habit to have games be very, very close and then just kind of nip it in the fourth quarter. So I'll give you some of the um I'll say oh that was it. Georgia dominated the second half. I think that is the main place I want to kind of go with it is just that the second half was very different to the first, and it was all primarily down to the fourth quarter where Georgia had 13 minutes and 7 seconds time of possession. They were put and they pulled away. They had
17 unanswered points at the end there. Yeah, I just
yeah,
saw.
every quarter had pretty much even passing stats, pretty much even rushing stats, pretty much even on first downs, on points, on everything. Ole Miss had a slight edge, I think, on most of them. And then it was just the fourth quarter was a case of, right, Georgia said, right, okay, it's our turn now. We're going to play football and we'll. And that's what they did. Trinidad Chamberlain walked away with 19 of 36, 236 yards. That's 63 yards, a touchdown, 9 attempts on the ground, 42 yards, two touchdowns. And Kayvon Lacey, 12 attempts, 31 yards, and two touchdowns on the floor. Gunnar Stockton, 26-31, 289 yards, four touchdowns, and was 10 attempts on the ground for 59 yards and a touchdown. It was Lawson Lucky, who was
Great name.
Georgia's the lucky man on the field, going 5 receptions, 43 yards, 3 touchdowns. Gunner kept finding his man. And yeah, I say it was a lot more ba basically a case of first 3 quarters very even. Fourth quarter, Georgia woke up and said, right, we're done playing now.
Good playing. You're in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to give one big shout out to Lane Kiffin, by the way, who joined the game, who decided to walk up to the referee, take a timeout, and as they were sorting it all out, he walked up to the referee, got in his face, and went, "I was clapping." Lane Kiffin, ever the troll,
Ever the troll.
ever the troll. In another top 25 matchup, SEC style, Alabama got the dub over Tennessee, 37 to 20.
I love this game. This was fantastic to watch.
So, one little piece, Alabama have 4 wins now against ranked opponents in their last 4 games. It's a 16-game home win streak, and it's the longest active home win streak in Division One football.
It's a trivia question in there. Come on.
Tennessee, well, your answer's there as well if you want it.
Mm.
Tennessee, more yards in the air, more yards on the ground, more yards overall. Alabama, though, they got the stat that matters, more points. Nick, tell us a bit more about that, please.
It was tit for tat, really. It was like Alabama scored a touchdown. They used a lot of the first quarter to score that touchdown. Second quarter, Tennessee hit straight back with their own touchdown. It's like, right, it's going to be like this. And that, funnily enough, that's where the Alabama won the game, because in that same second quarter, they managed to get a safety when they hit Tennessee deep. And then they scored 2 touchdowns as well. But other than that, it was tit for tat. It was touchdown, 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 touchdown. So it seemed to be that Alabama had better field. You talk about how Tennessee had more total yards, more in the air, more on the ground. Alabama seemed to just find themselves in better starting positions rather than actual moving the ball forward, because, as you said, both teams moved the ball up and down the field, but it just seemed like Alabama had a better starting position every time.
Less field to move. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was end to end given, and it was exciting, and it was certainly, this was the first game. This was one of the 5 o'clock games, so it was like the one game that I had on my main TV, so I was sort of entranced in that more than anything. But great entertaining game. Someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. It is what it is.
Absolutely. And where you talk about games like this, Tennessee were 2 of 5 in the red zone. Alabama were 4 of 4. There's where you win games.
Yeah.
This is what.
Yeah, I think Alabama won the turnover battle as well, though, didn't they?
They did.
1-1.
Oh, no, it was 1-1.
But I think the Alabama turnover was crucial, wasn't it? I think they were scoring play, or it was in the red zone or something. I thought I saw it.
It was the safety. Yeah. It was it was that safety that they got. But it's everything was real. Like penalties, 10 for 66 against 7 for 59. It was a fairly even game. It wasn't like Tennessee were out of their depth and just chasing. It was a game where both teams were in it, and both teams were fighting, and you're just like, this is the game you want to watch. It's, as a neutral, as someone who hasn't got any skin in the game, you're watching a game and you think, this is why I like college football, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it very much seemed as well like first quarter, very much Alabama. Then they walk away 7-0. The second quarter felt very much more Tennessee, but where you get a killer is where you do this stupid thing where you throw an interception at the goal line. Nick knows all about these. You throw an interception at the goal line what Nick does. Well,
Run the
it's slightly
damn ball.
different.
It's the other goal
99
line.
yards. 99-yard return for a touchdown is what, even then, like you take that score off the board, it ends up 30-20, which is, I'd say that feels a lot better than a 37-20. But one of the things, I was watching someone break down the play and just how it was almost obvious that Tennessee were actually going to throw the ball. They had no timeouts left.
Yep.
And they'd stacked the line in a certain way, and the way it was going, they were still a couple of yards back. Everything just indicated pass. And then all of your linebackers and your corners were on. Watched what the quarterback did for half a second. Watch what the quarterback does. And let me find. I can't remember the name of the lad who got the interception. It was Brown. It was Xavier Brown. He read it the whole way. He knew
Yeah.
exactly, as soon as that ball was snapped, he knew what was coming. He jumped on the play. Done. Gone. And it never, ever stood a chance when the ball was snapped because Xavier Brown knew exactly what he was doing.
It was one of those, the most telegraphed, this is going to be a pass play. This is going to go into the flat. You can jump this play that you'll probably ever like to see.
Yeah. And they say Alabama 23-7 at the half. And it's as good as a game over then, and then done and dusted. You're not coming back from that against Alabama. 16-point deficit at the half. You're not coming back at that against Alabama. It's not happening.
Yep.
Moving on to the next upset of the week. That was Texas Tech, who lost to Arizona State. The Sun Devils, your London-bound Arizona State
London
Sun
bound.
Devils, 22-26. Texas Tech now 6-1. Arizona State moved to 5-2. This is Arizona State's first win over a top 10 opponent since they beat Oregon in 2019. 25 points total in the fourth quarter of this game. Arizona State had a 12-point lead early in the fourth quarter, 22 points of which, it changed back and forth a couple of times on who was leading. 22 points in the final 4 minutes. Any of you get this game in? Impressive win for Arizona State as well. Kenny Dillingham really looking to get a stranglehold on the season now after a bit of a start that he didn't want.
No, this one flashed me by.
Likewise. But good to see Arizona State getting back on last year's sort of train, I suppose, in a way. Because they've been a little disappointing up to this point. Nice to see Levitt and Tyson reconnecting. Thought they would have expected them to be quite a much higher up in the stats than they are. It seems like maybe it's taken a few weeks, but they're getting there. The reason I say that is because I've got both of them in my fantasy team. But other than that, no, looks like a Texas Tech potentially complacency. Who knows? But a Big 12 rival, a Big 12 derby, who knows? But it's a surprise. I think it's definitely a surprise that the Red Raiders went down there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the crazy thing about the Big 12 is like, say the SEC has no hard, every game's hard in the SEC. Like every game seems to be hard in the Big 12, and it's the one conference where, again, I think we'll look at our conference predictions that we made in the off season a bit later on, but no one can particularly pin this one down. Anyone could win it any year. It's the NFC East of college conferences. So there's going to be a different winner every year. It's just how it goes, unfortunately. Sam Levitt was great in the air, though, as you mentioned. 28 completions at 47 attempts in the air, 319 yards to Jordan Tyson, who had caught 10 receptions of 17 targets, 105 yards, and a touchdown in the air. Texas Tech fall. Arizona State get a much needed, very important win. See how they can go. And again, this is a team you need to be keeping an eye on because they'll be in Wembley in just a
Mhm.
few months.
12, but
Oregon, sorry, go on.
12 months. But yeah,
Just shy of 11. Sunday was
just
the
shy.
11-month
Sunday
anniversary.
it was. Yeah.
Oregon didn't get a
But
win.
we can't talk. Well, hang on, we can't talk about Oregon. Where's Adam?
Oh, we can't talk about Texas later as well either.
Uh,
Or, I think Oregon can go in the same bracket as Indiana and
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Oregon won. Move on.
yeah.
It's fine. No one wants to talk about the Big Ten. I get it. We just dominate other teams. It's fine. Quick mention though, Oregon, they did get a win at Rutgers, 56-13. Oregon are now 6-1. Big bounce back after the loss at Indiana. They had 335 pass yards, 415 rush yards. That is over, what, 750 yards of offense. Dante Moore, 15 of 20 for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. Whittington, an 11 tag receptions, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. Davison was 3 for 100. Dominant all game. Rutgers never stood
Uh,
a chance.
Discrepancy here between a team that is stacked and Rutgers, who are in the Big Ten but are unfortunately struggle with recruitment and don't pull in the kind of people that Oregon can. And it
Which
showed here. It's one of those where it's just like it's Oregon are just so much better.
which is sad because like they are the inventors, the co-inventors of college football. Uh,
Exactly, the OGs.
the literal half of the OG, they are the O of the G's. LSU, move on to LSU, is another ranked matchup. LSU, who lost on the road to Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt 24-31. Big game. Lots of implications for the SEC. Vanderbilt are 6-1, 2-1 in the SEC. Their first win over LSU since 1990. LSU are now 5-2, 2-2 in the SEC. This win puts Vanderbilt into the bowl eligibility conversation with 6 wins on the season. They have not gone back to back with bowl eligibility since 2012, 2013 seasons.
Wow.
They've just gone back to back now. It was 17-13 to end the first half, 31-21 in the fourth quarter. LSU had no opportunity to really catch up in the second half. Vandy took a little bit of a lead, and yeah, as I said, LSU couldn't catch up.
I think I had this on my second screen, but what I would say, the thing that stuck out for me watching this is LSU are paying the price for losing so much of their front line to the draft last year
Yeah.
because they lost 4 of their 5 front
Their O
line,
line is decimated,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
to the draft, and you can see it you can tell just in experience and the way that they are being manhandled up front. You know, even back to the beginning of the season when it was that first game, LSU Clemson, and everyone was like, well, this is going to be a really good game. But they struggled to hold Clemson up front,
Mhm.
and I think they are seriously paying the price for the inexperience that they've got up front. And I think over time that will change because playing brings experience, but it's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
So they've just got to take their medicine and
Take
maybe
their
come
lumps
back
this year, I
again.
think. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
and
it's a
come back
year for
next year.
LSU, is
But
it? Yeah.
other than that, you cannot fault Vanderbilt. They really put LSU to the sword.
And that's a
Yep.
common theme with Vanderbilt right now. They are a very, very, very good team. And thing is, Diego Pavia, as good as he is, he's not
Wasn't
doing
that?
anything in particularly special.
Yeah.
From every time I watch him, he's not doing anything special. He's doing things right. He's doing things well. The only thing that seems to run special is his mouth, but he's backing it up with the wins. And that's not a dig at Diego Pavia. He's backing it up with the wins.
Yeah, he's talking the talk, but he's also, backing it up and walking the walk afterwards. And,
And throwing the throw.
he's got to be, you mentioned an earlier guy who is in a conversation for Heisman. Is Pavia playing himself into that conversation as well? Yeah, as you say, he's not lighting it up stats wise, but he's dragging that team kicking and screaming.
So what I will say, you're absolutely, there's absolutely in with a shout. We've got Mendoza in there with a shout. We've got Pavia potentially in there with a shout, at least starting to play his way into it. I think there's a guy we're going to talk about in a little bit, and for once, Nick's going to be really happy with me, and as I give some Notre Dame love later on. But
Steady.
what I will say on the flip side of this game, you've got Garrett Nussmeier, who was a potential Heisman favourite and potential favourite to go #1 overall in the draft, alongside Drew Aller. And let's not talk about how everyone thought Arch Manning was also going to be that in terms of betting favourites.
Honestly, I'm going to give Sam his credit here. Sam didn't think so.
No, he did not.
Sam was quite quick to say, no, hang on a minute. Arch's first proper season. Let's not get too ahead of the curve. So, give him his flowers when he did call that out early on.
Absolutely. And
but yeah,
I think this is not a shot at Sam in any way, shape, or form.
We do that enough. We do that enough.
We wait for him to be here. Yeah.
I mean, Nussmeier and Aller, they deliberately chose not to go into the draft last year because
he was the Clemson guy as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Klubnik.
Klubnik.
Yeah.
The three of them all chose not to go into the draft last year, and I think all three of them believe that they could come out this year as #1 because they were all in good teams and they were all destined to have good seasons. Clemson have fallen apart. Like I said, LSU was struggling up front, and Drew Allar's just suffered that terrible injury. Although Penn State weren't exactly tearing up trees either. So I think even if they'd gone to the NFL last year, they wouldn't have been first pick. They may have made it second round, but there were so many QBs going out last year that they probably had a better chance of being this year. But then again, like you said, you've got the Mendozas that have all come along and just absolutely blown these guys out the water.
Just lit it up.
I feel so sorry for Drew Aller because he's used all his eligibility now, and he's been left with half a season injured. So that's the game really. But yeah, it's certainly a competitive position.
I'm almost certain, and I'll put money on this, that we will talk about the decisions of last year's potential draftees who did or did not go and should or should not have gone as we go into look at into the draft in 2026. What I do want to talk about, someone who I think may be playing themselves into a bit of a Heisman conversation, someone who we've all seen live, someone who, Gary, close your ears right now, we all watched not quite dismantle, but kick Florida State's backside. As
Run all over. Absolutely. Yeah.
As Georgia Tech beat the mighty Duke.
It's the king. It's the king.
18.
All
Georgia
hail.
Tech are now 7-0. This is their best start since 1966. That means England winning a World Cup soon? No? Okay. It's their first 4-0 start.
Doubtful, very doubtful.
First 4-0.
Although we have got a German in charge, so we might
conference start since 1998. The game was 7-7 at the half, 10-10 at the end of the third. And then Georgia Tech win the fourth quarter, 17-8. Haynes King, 14 completions, 21 attempts, 205 yards and no touchdowns. However, where Haynes King is the king is his 14 attempts for 120 yards and a touchdown. Georgia Tech are a good football
Respect
team.
Georgia Tech.
Put some
Everyone
respect
should
on Georgia
respect.
Tech's name. Put some respect on those golden jackets.
They
Yellow jackets.
deserve the respect.
Yeah. 7-0, 4-0 in the ACC. Haynes King was my dark horse for this year's Heisman, and he's starting to come through in the way that, you defenses really struggle with that player because he's, you put him in, he'll beat you with his arm because he's good enough with his arm, but give him a broken pass rush lane, give him a bit of a scramble lane, and he is going to rip you to shreds with his legs. And as you say, 14 carries, 120 yards. That's running back numbers, but it's a QB. It's the we see a lot of it in college games, but he's just a bit of a difference maker.
If the Ravens don't sign him up to back up Jackson, they are missing a trick big time.
If he falls that low, or well, depending on how the Ravens pan out, yeah.
I mean, he is Lamar Jackson. It's just like he
just taller and
anyway. Yeah, and lighter skin color. But yeah, he has all those traits, and I don't think his arm is his strongest,
No.
Attribute. I think the power he's got in his legs to go that sort of standing start when he makes the decision that he's not going to throw it and he is going to run it. It's that first 10 yards of his power and his pace as he gets going up to speed, which, you look at even the best running backs, the Henrys and that's where they are huge.
That's the difference, isn't it?
He's exactly like that. So, yeah, respect Georgia Tech. I was worried at one point because as Duke were keeping
hanging around. They were hanging about, weren't they?
This might not go, but luckily, right at the end, Georgia Tech just pulled away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The score was 10-10 at the end of the third. It was a close game. Neither team was particularly running away with it, and then Georgia Tech, similar to apparently what Georgia do as well now, because this is what teams from Georgia do.
It's a Georgia thing, yeah.
Fourth quarter, there's one team that actually plays all four quarters in Georgia. We'll talk about them later. They've already been mentioned.
We'll go into that in a minute.
Yeah. They wake up in the fourth quarter and just say, all right, so enough's enough now. Right, you won't go away. We'll put you away. See you later. Done, dusted. End of. But Darian Mensah, want to give him a shout out because he had 373 for 373 yards and 2 touchdowns. Found a lot of success, and I think a lot of needs to be mentioned is Cooper Barkate. I believe his name is Barkate. I don't know. 13 receptions, 172 yards, lots of success, and that's where they were finding the success, Duke, to hang in there and stick about with Georgia Tech throughout the game. Is probably it. That's where they were having a lot of fun. But I say it's ranked team beats a non-ranked team. Chalk done. See you later. Haynes King for Heisman. And we can all say we got to see him live.
Georgia Tech, and Georgia State all won in the same week.
And Kennesaw State won. Let's not forget the best team in Georgia.
Well, the best. I said this last week. The best team in Georgia are the South Georgia Catfish because they're being led by Chad Powers. I would say also that Georgia Southern couldn't win this week because they played last week because they played Georgia State. So, but yeah,
somebody was going to lead out.
It was quite a Georgia.
A good success. Weekend for Georgia.
Yeah.
So we have, moving on in the rankings, we have another ranked game. One that I believe has a lot of historical significance. One that I do believe is the reason that Nick is bald because of the stress of this game. He had a full luscious head of hair on Friday. Notre Dame against USC. Notre Dame win 34-24. bringing themselves back to 5-2 after a horrid start to the season. They've got to win out. And all my days will Marcus Freeman do everything he can to make sure they do. He did it last year. He'll do it again. Notre Dame now hold a 3-game win streak in this rivalry. They've won 7 of the last 8. 2022 is the only one of those where USC won in California. Mayava went 22 of 42 for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But found some success with Lane. He had 6 of 12 for 111 yards and a touchdown. But I think the man of the hour, the man of the moment, the one that I think needs to be spoken about, the UK and Irish college football media's offensive player of the week, and another man I think may be playing his name into a Heisman. Nick, tell me about Jeremiah Love. His 24 attempts, the 228 yards and touchdown that he
just the
got.
228 yards.
Just 200.
The goal is that way. Run. Okay. He was basically Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump. Run, and he just kept running.
Just kept on running.
Nobody could stop him. He just ran and ran and ran. Notre Dame made it hard at one point. They were trailing, and I was like, "Oh God, please don't do this."
Kickoff return was important, wasn't it?
But they got themselves in front, and they are in that must win now mode, which I kind of think suits them. So yeah, I mean they did what they needed to do. It wasn't flash, it wasn't crazy. It's get the win and move on. But yeah, like I said, I mean Miami, the fact that their 2 losses were Miami and Texas A&M is helping them greatly. The Miami defeat is just to Louisville is just unfortunate, but I think as they continue to win, you will just see them move up the charts continually, and I expect them to be if they win out, then I expect them to be in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Gary, have you got anything to add on to this game?
No, just I think that, as you say, it was tight and it was nip and tuck. But I think the 100-yard kickoff return needs a bit of a mention. Third quarter, Darian Price took it,
yep.
And as you were saying, nobody could tackle Jeremiah Love. It seemed like nobody could tackle Price on that kickoff return either.
I would say as well, I think Leonard Moore is playing his way into being the number 1 cornerback in the draft next year if he chooses to go, because I think he can play again next year in college if he wants to. But he's all over the pitch. He's absolutely dominating. So, it'll be up to him whether he chooses to go or stay. But by far and away, he's best cornerback in college right now.
Caleb Downs?
No, Leonard Moore. I'd rather have Leonard Moore.
Okay. No, I'm not making the argument. I'm just asking to.
I'd rather have Leonard Moore.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we move on to Oklahoma, who get a bounce back after losing to Texas last week. They beat South Carolina 26-7. Oklahoma
surprisingly not so close. Surprisingly not close, this one. I thought this would have been a closer one.
Oklahoma advanced to 6-1. South Carolina are a disappointing 3-4. We all expected more from them this year, a lot more from them this year. As much as I'd like to talk about the exciting offense and how John Matei was fantastic, he was okay. He did things. No one lit this game up, apart from the Oklahoma defense. 6 sacks, 2 interceptions.
Yes, I mean that defense wins championships, as they say, and they're going to definitely turn up and get 6 sacks and 2 turnovers. Pretty likely to win the game pretty comfortably in the end.
Yeah. Moving on to the next, and I think it's the final of our ranked opponents. Ranked games. BYU remain undefeated as they win the Holy War against Utah. BYU now have a 3-game streak in the Holy War. Utah had over 100 yards more of offense, but also had nearly double the amount of penalties and nearly double the amount of yards in penalties.
Yeah, ouch.
BYU win a close one.
24-21. Nip and tuck, to say the least, right to the end. Yeah, really, again, another one. It's interesting that you've looked at these and we've mentioned them. The ones that have been ranked matchups this week have been proper good games, tight, nip and tuck. Both teams going for it. Not a blowout either way. Really shows you that we're into week 8. The rankings are making themselves known and showing up now. You're not getting the ones that are completely one-sided anymore. So that's good to see. He says, looking at Memphis.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we wondered when BYU lost their QB due to issues. Let's say, we wondered what they would be like, but they've been good. They've been solid. They're my pick for the conference. So, roll on BYU, as I say. Show them some respect as well. They should be higher up in the rankings.
Yeah. So,
speaking of rankings,
that's up to 15. There are a couple more. I'll just read out the results. Mizzou ranked 16. They beat Auburn beat Auburn on the road, 23-17. Virginia beat Washington State 22-20. That's 18th ranked Virginia. 19th ranked USF beat Florida Atlantic 48-13. Blowout. Done. Not even close. They're rightfully climbing up the rankings. Texas, we would love to have had Sam on, but we won't discuss Texas without Sam. Sam only watches Texas and none of us do. They get edge out a close one on the road in Kentucky, who have a habit, by the way, of riding really close games against opposition. They probably shouldn't, but they're still very, very good. Memphis, though, quick mention to Memphis, who lost on the road to UAB 31-24. UAB bounced back after the Trent Dilfer firing with a win straight away against the ranked Memphis.
Ranked Memphis, yeah. That's a bit of a shocker. That was a bit of a shocker, I think. And I'm wondering if Memphis maybe didn't think too highly of this game you've just lost your head coach. Is there a little bit of complacency? Who knows?
Yeah.
Just circling back to that Auburn game. Auburn are in a funk right now, and they desperately need to get themselves out, because a couple of weeks ago they got stiffed by that refereeing decision where the Georgia player was going off, and then at the last second he changed his mind and he ran down the sideline that was unfair on them, and they lost that. Whether they'd have won that game for that decision, I don't know. And then last week you had was it in, was it not? They didn't it didn't go their way. I personally thought it was in, but hey ho, so they've had 2 decisions go against them, which may or may not have cost them those games. And whatever funk they're in, it seems to be, because they were riding high until those 2. And so whatever funk Auburn are in, they need to get themselves out quickly, otherwise their season's going to turn into a disaster. But they were certainly competitive against Mizzou anyway.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Want to move on though, just quickly mention Cincinnati, 24th ranked. They beat Oklahoma State 49-17. That Oklahoma State haven't quite bounced back from no head coach. Then finally, Nebraska are the final team ranked, and they are also the final team to lose to an unranked team. 24-6. Minnesota get the win. I watched a good chunk of that game. that was a horrible, horrible game by Nebraska. And of course, it
Hmm.
had to be the game that they had just after being ranked as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
just the Minnesota just ran all over the defense. Just sacked Raiola 10 times, something ludicrous. I think it just nothing was working for Nebraska. I think maybe they'd shot their load in the nicest possible way by beating Michigan the week before, and then thought they were sailing high. Anyway, moving swiftly on because I don't know
Nebraska
where I
didn't
ended
beat
up.
Michigan.
No, they didn't. They lost, didn't they? Sorry, yeah, that's right. We
Um,
talked about that. Why were they ranked with the loss to Michigan?
yeah.
Speaking of rankings,
Yeah. So we have, as always, the updated week ahead of week 9. We have the AP rankings and we have the UK and Irish college football media rankings. Nick, I think me and Gary are just going to mute ourselves. You've got half an hour. Go.
I don't need half an hour. As I said in there, Georgia Tech needs to be shown some respect. BYU needs to be shown some respect. I get what we have had this conversation more than once, so I'm not gonna go over old ground. But last week was week 8. Okay, everyone's had a bye, so no one can be 8-0, no one can be 7-1. So the best you can be is 7-0. Well, there's 3 teams at the top of the league there who are, top of the rankings, who are 7-0. The other 7-0 teams, Georgia Tech at 7 and BYU at 11. Well, at some point, 7-0 deserves respect. I get that their schedule might be slightly easier, but if you have gone 6-1 or 5-2, you do not deserve to be ahead of a 7-0 team.
nope.
Georgia Tech should be at 4, BYU should be at 5, and Navy, who are currently
Nowhere near the rankings.
nowhere near the rankings, they're 6-0. So you could argue that they should be somewhere around the certainly the 5-2s anyway.
I'd certainly
But
put them somewhere down where I don't know, Arizona State, Michigan, down there. They've got to be in that mix, even if not higher.
I just think Vanderbilt are on a right crusade at the moment. Yes, they can't be ahead of Miami. Miami have had an awesome season, but I think if you had Georgia Tech at 4 and BYU at 5, and then it was as it was, I wouldn't have an issue. I think Notre Dame are too high, and they're my team anyway. LSU shouldn't be in the rankings. Michigan shouldn't be in the rankings. Texas shouldn't be in the rankings. There's. I don't know whether it's big school bias, whether it's SEC bias. I don't know, but I just think certain teams get shafted a little bit, and I mean, it goes back to your FSU, Gary. You
Mm-hmm.
went 12-0 at one point, and you still
13-0,
couldn't
thanks.
get.
Yep.
You still couldn't get a playoff place. At what point does someone not think that's ludicrous?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, granted, that was pre the extended and widening
yeah,
of the conferences and widening of the college playoff bracket. But yeah, I mean that was yeah, we still bitter about that at all.
no, and I mean Fletcher's just stepped away. He'll change the image in a minute, but the UK and Ireland media as well. That I mean, I say we because we are part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can vote however I want to vote. But ultimately, if everyone else is going to vote similar to the AP, then not a lot's going to change.
Yeah, I mean there are some changes and there are some differences. But yeah, there is name bias. I think in the AP poll, you've got to admit that there's name bias. And you should say, why is your team that high when they started off pretty poorly? They haven't really beaten anybody. They really shouldn't be 12th, just outside the top 10, when you've
No,
got other teams around there who have played better and stronger teams and whatever else. And should Texas even be anywhere near the top 25 at this point in
well
time?
that's kind of my point. There's enough 7-0, 6-1s teams to
Yeah.
probably mean that
Bill,
any 5-2 team doesn't make the top 25 anyway.
that's how
So
and that's how you and I would probably look at it, and that's certainly if I had remembered to put mine in this week. Sorry, guys. No, it would have been 7-0, 6-1, and then if I'd have
I
got
mean,
to a 5-2, I don't even think I would have done because
yeah,
Navy
but
would have taken the 6-0, wouldn't they? So
let me ask you: at what point does regardless of who you played, forget that. At
mhm.
what point does your record shout that loud? 4-0? No, no.
Not really.
5-0? Navy at 6-0. That's screaming to me that they should be ranked.
They should be in
And
the
then,
discussion. Yeah.
and I think when you consider that there's so many 5-2 teams, I think if you are better than 5-2, regardless of who you are, you should
Hmm.
be on that list.
Yeah.
And it's a travesty if you're not.
Yeah. And the downside is that if they're not on the list now,
They struggle
they're
to make it.
they've struggled to make it going forward because this list is now it, and these teams may or may not just kind of hang around a bit.
Like Michigan are bottom at 25 with 123 points. Navy got 28 points this week. Now
Make it
Navy
make
didn't
sense.
play this week. So fair point. But they were 6-0 last week and they weren't on the list. Oh, they
Yeah.
might have been on the list actually. They might have been on the list at 6-0 last week.
I think they
But
were on the
that goes
UK list, I think.
that goes back to another point. If you are on the list and you don't play, you shouldn't. Your
You
position
shouldn't
shouldn't move.
not be on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't suffer just because you didn't play.
Yeah. Just a recap of the actual top 25, well, the highlights. The Louisville, Illinois, Arizona State, and Michigan all creep in. USC, Memphis, Utah, and Nebraska are all out. Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech are your biggest risers. Vanderbilt up 7, Georgia Tech up 5. LSU 4 by 10. Texas Tech and Miami both 4 by 7. That's in the AP poll. But for a quick look at the UK and Irish college football media top 25, our big risers are BYU, Vandy, and Notre Dame. Our big fallers are Miami, Texas Tech, and LSU. Navy, Houston, Louisville all enter the chat, and Utah, USA, and Nebraska have all had their numbers blocked and they've been kicked out. Nick, what is there anything here? I mean, like Navy's in. You mentioned Navy, Navy's in. I don't agree
Yeah,
with Michigan being in at top
no.
25 in the top 25.
Nope.
Like I was, so I'm glad they're not in this one. I think, to be fair, if I remember correctly from when I input mine, I may have just been on a bit of a high. Maybe snuck Michigan in at 25 anyway, but I don't actually. I agree with them. I agree with them not being in. Um, is there anything in here, particularly in the UK one, that gripes you a little bit more?
Um, I did just say to Gary that there are enough teams at 6-1 that no 5-2 team should really be in the top 25, and
Mhm.
that goes for Texas, that goes for LSU, that goes for Illinois. You know, Navy to me should be higher. I think yes, we as a media team, not just us here on this pod, but all the UK and Irish media. Yes, we're obviously pulling BYU up a little bit. You know, Vanderbilt, someone's got to move for that, but I'm probably a bit more comfortable with where Notre Dame are on this one. But again, Notre Dame at 5-2 probably shouldn't be on the list at all.
Yep.
James Madison are 6-1. Has anyone seen them in the rankings?
Have they
I
even
know
got?
I
Did they even score any points in the rankings? Is probably the question, isn't it?
well, they
Probably
scored
not.
6 points. They scored 6 points in the AP poll this week, and I had them in my rankings at I think 22.
Hmm.
might have been 23.
Um,
So I'm just on my high horse that, I don't think teams who are, who,
I mean, this is
you
this is
know,
going to be this is an on-running thing, isn't it? We've had this discussion.
yeah,
We'll continue having this discussion. It's something that we all, we agree on
I'm going to
from at
sort
least.
out in the summer, and next year I'm going to run a completely different system, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
yeah. I will say that like I don't. Not all 5-2 teams are created. It's the whole. Not all
mm,
records are created equal. Not all 5-2 teams are equal. Not all seven. Like not all teams and all the schedules and all that sort of stuff. And that's where the argument comes in. Some go on strength of schedule. Some go on what is considered a quality win or not. Some go on record. Um, I seeing Illinois is what really irritates me the most. And if I just really quick bring them back up, um, on here. Because their two losses are horrific. I can't stand seeing them with the two losses, right?
and they're bad losses.
So I get they beat USC who were ranked at the time, but their wins are Western Illinois, give over, Duke, give over, Western Michigan, give over, USC just, and then Purdue, give over.
Hmm.
Other than USC, they have no real quality wins. Their two other games against ranked opponents, Indiana
Bastard.
kicked the living snot out of him. 63 to that's in but you can go 11-1. If you get beat 63-10, I don't want to see you in there.
Yep,
63-10, I don't want to see you in there, right? Ohio State gave them a good hiding, 34-16.
they
It,
should
it
be
was it wasn't
nowhere
a close
near
game. They
this.
got some garbage time stuff. They should not be touching this top 25. They just should, the losses they have are shocking.
Yep.
You, I
Poss
just,
yeah, but the fact is, they have won 5 games, and like I said, I don't think any 5-2 team should be in it. So for me, they shouldn't be in the list anyway. But the fact is, they are one of the teams who are 5-2 who are in the list when they probably shouldn't be, right? And this is you can because different teams play different people. I think it's not fair to base it on a strength of schedule when people don't play. Some teams play a completely. It's not like your schedules are rated 1 to 3. Your schedule could be rated 1 to 53.
Hmm.
So at some point, if you win a game, you deserve credit for that.
yeah. Um, that is, well, those are your two top 25s, the AP poll and the UK and Irish top 25 college football media. And as ever, that one is brought to you by the touchdown. If you want to see this first, if you want to see it before we talk about it on the pod, before it gets posted on any socials related to the AAW or College Football UK, go to the touchdown, go to Cy Carroll, check all of those out because, well, that's
That's the
the
place to
best
find
place
them.
to go and find them. Um, Anything else you want to add with regards to week 8, or are we happy to start moving on to our one little segment before we do a quick talk on week 9?
No, move on.
Nice. Okay, so what I wanted us to do, now we're in week 9, or heading up to week 9, we have, we are just over halfway through the season. We're starting to get to about halfway through conference schedule. So I thought the best thing we need to do is have a little look at the conference predictions that we made early on in the season and just see how well our predictions are going. Um, excuse
Oh,
me.
this is going to be fun. That's why Nick left.
This is exactly why Nick. Like, he doesn't even. I don't think he's even got. He's not got work tomorrow. That's it's just not a thing.
He's just getting out
Um,
before we delved into this. He was just like, no, I'm out. I'm not having this.
So I'll start with the group of five or group of six even. Group of five. And then go from there. So the American Conference. Egg picked Memphis. Fletch picked Memphis. Gary, Navy, Nick, Tulane, and
Are you bringing
Sam
this up or are
picked
you just reading this? Sorry.
Army. I've got the graphics that we made in the off season. I've got those graphics in front of me right now.
You're not sharing it though, right?
No, because it's on my other computer.
Ready, go. Cool.
So yeah, Egg and Fletch Memphis, Gary Navy, Nick Tulane, Sam Army, Navy top of the conference 6-0, South Florida 6-1, Tulane 6-1, Memphis 6-1, North Texas 6-1. However, the three that you need to focus on are Navy, South Florida, and Tulane, who are all lossless. They are undefeated in the conference.
And as we just talked about, Navy should be ranked.
They absolutely should, and potentially, well, I say potentially, so probably should Tulane. I know you
Who are
want to give
also
it.
wearing a very just while we talk about Tulane quickly, they are wearing a beautiful, beautiful one-off uniform this week, of which you are able, should you like it that much, you can actually buy a piece once they have finished with it. They'll be selling them off. So go and have a look at the Tulane. It's a beautiful little
They
number.
always have nice uniforms, though.
They do. They have a special one-off, like a City Connect uniform or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So Nick, out of the two, Gary and Nick, you look most likely to walk away with a win here. But
Hey,
Egg
finally.
and I are trailing a little bit behind you. The only difference is the one loss that that Memphis has was in conference, and it was this weekend. But other than that, like we're doing quite well. Only
All right, and that one on
well,
that.
Sam's not. Army are 3-4, 2-3 in the conference. I think Sam can safely say that that one's not coming through for him.
Yeah.
So far. Next up, we have the Conference USA, which, as we will remind people doing the Lord's work for Oliver Hodgkinson here, do not hyphenate this conference when you talk about it. It's CUSA, not C-USA.
It's not C-USA. BA, take that hyphen and do something with it.
Egg, Fletch, Nick, Sam, all said Liberty. Gary said Sam
Liberty.
Houston.
Yeah.
Do we just? We'll move on real quick from Sam Houston, who are
quickly
0-7,
desperately dire.
0-4 in the conference. That's not happening. That was just done.
No, it's balancing the Navy. See, balancing Navy, Sam Houston, Navy, Sam Houston. That's
I believe the only, if not one of only a couple of teams who are already cannot be bowl eligible.
Yeah, but first for something.
Yeah. Weirdly, so Liberty are 3-4 overall. They're 2-1 in the conference. They're currently fourth in the conference based on that record. The three teams above them, and I swear down, Gary, I'm so happy with this. But also,
even though you
should have,
you really should have, man. You really
should have had a lot more faith in Coach Mack. Kennesaw State currently top of the Conference US. Kennesaw State, the mighty.
Say it louder for those at the back.
5-2 overall record, 3-0 in the conference on a 5-game win streak.
5-game tear up.
And last night, by the way, played last night against FIU, who had their Vice night.
Nice uniforms.
I'll quickly say this on Kennesaw State, who, if they keep playing the way they are doing, though, by the way, they will be in the conversation at the end of the season. I'm not saying playoff conversation, but they'll be in the conference conversation, and the one game off a bowl game now. They've just got better and better and better. The close loss to Wake Forest, got absolutely demolished in week 2 against
Georgia?
No, it was a Big Ten team. I want to say Wisconsin. It might have been Wisconsin. Absolutely demolished. No, it's Nebraska. Got demolished by Nebraska. But then have been on a tear up since. Merrimack, they were very, very close, very sloppy win. played a few games where it's like they go up 2, 3 scores and then it's catch us if you can. Last night they played a complete game of football. They went up early, played catch us if you can, and then sealed out the game and went on with a convincing win. Really, really good stuff. Jacksonville State, um, they are looking very, very good at the moment. 3-0 in the conference. Western Kentucky just sneaking in there behind with a 4-1 conference record. And Liberty with 2-1. Lots to play for though. Conference USA, anything can kind of happen really. It's one of those annoying conferences.
And usually does midweek if drama, excitement, you name it. Coosa's the place to find it.
Weekday Conference USA. Next up, we have Mac talking about midweek. We've got some midweek matching. Egg chose Ohio. Fletcher Nick chose Toledo. Gary chose Buffalo. And Sam chose Miami. Ohio, Miami. Buffalo currently leading the way. There are 3 teams with a 4-3 record and 3-0 in the conference. Those are Buffalo, Miami, and Western Michigan. So top 2 would be Buffalo and Miami, Ohio, which you and Sam are graciously.
Mm-hmm. Two doing all right so far. Batting above 500 at the minute.
Oh no, not bad at all.
Not bad in the first 3, but I got a feeling it might not last.
Mountain West. 4 out of 5 chose Boise State, and Nick went a little bit different, chose UNLV. Everyone's doing okay. UNLV officially fourth in the rankings for the Mountain West, but that's only because of 1 game. Boise State top, 5-2 record, 3-0 overall. San Diego State a 5-1, 2-0 overall. UNLV in 4th. Now I want to mention 3rd place because we need to, by the way, give a shout out to the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, who are bowl
Coach
eligible.
Reinbold!
Congratulations, Coach Reinbold.
Go, Coach.
The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors,
the
they are
Warriors.
6-2 record, 3-1 in the conference. Currently in 3rd in the conference. And again, this one, Boise State are probably going to not quite run away with it, but Boise State look like they'll be there. They'll be there in the conference championship, and it's all about who follows in and behind them in the Mountain West.
Yeah, Boise State are, should we say, righted the ship after their sort of week 1 blip.
Yeah. Moving on to the Pac-12, which we are just for the fun of it have for the last 2 years done anyway, just for why not. Washington State, Egg and Gary, Fletch, Nick and Sam, bonded by the Beaver. Washington State are 3-4.
Saying too loudly there, but
I disagree. Oregon State, 1-7. Both teams still due to play each other twice, but Oregon State are now head coachless and in a bad place, and just not having a good time of it right now. Finally, in the group of 5 conferences, Egg, Fletch, Gary, Nick all said James Madison, and Sam stuck with his gut. Sam went with the team that he so passionately loves in the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, and that's not working out very well for him as they are 2-5, 1-2 in the conference. James Madison, however, are 6-1, 4-0 in conference play. Killing it. 5-game win streak. Worth reminding, SBC, the Sunbelt Conference is East and West, so the winners of the East will meet the winners of the West. Right behind the next team in the East with James Madison is Coastal Carolina. They are 4-3. They have a 2-game lead on Coastal Carolina. I think it's safe to say they'll at least be in the championship game, but obviously this comes down to whether they win the conference, not whether they make the championship game. So we will see. Just heading back up to the Power 4, the ACC.
So just to confirm, I'm 3-1 then. So I'm winning on 3 of those. Doing all right. 3-1, I'm doing absolutely shockingly bad on.
Yeah. Um, if this makes you feel better, Egg in the ACC chose SMU. Fletch chose Miami. Actually, this might not make you feel better. Gary, Nick, Sam said Clemson.
We all fell for the orange promise, didn't we?
Clemson, who are 2-3 in the conference, 3-4 overall.
Mhm. Yeah.
Top right now, obviously, Georgia Tech 7-0, 4-0 in the conference. Virginia in second
Can't
place,
believe
six and
nobody
one.
picked. Can't believe nobody picked the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Virginia 6-1, 3-0 in the conference. SMU 5-2, 3-0 in the conference. Three teams currently vying for it: Pitt, Duke, Louisville, Cal, Stanford, Miami. All only have one conference loss. They are fighting in the Big
We
12.
don't need to talk any more about the ACC. Thank you very much.
We'll leave it there. In the Big 12, Egg chose Texas Tech. Fletch chose Iowa State. Gary chose Baylor. Nick chose BYU. Sam chose Kansas State. This is what I said before. This is the only conference where we have 5 different winners. It's from 5 different, but no one can agree on who will win it. Obviously,
I
BYU
know
are
Baylor are not
leading.
going to win it.
BYU are leading the charge. 4-0 in the conference, 7-0 overall. Cincinnati are right behind them, 4-0 in the conference, 6-1 overall. Arizona State, Texas Tech, and Houston all have one loss, 3-1 in the conference. Still a lot to play for, still a lot of big games, and this is again a frustrating conference where you end up losing out on playoff spots. There are plenty of teams who end up just getting shafted a little bit because the conference is so tough.
Mhm.
And the competition is so close throughout, just throughout. Um, it's a tough one. It's a very, very tough one. Iowa State, Baylor, Kansas State, all 2-2 in the conference.
Mm.
I was feeling very confident after week 0.
All right, I bet you were.
Now, not so much. Going on to the Big Ten, Egg picked Purdue. Fletch, Gary, and Sam all said Penn State. We fell for it, Gary. We fell for it.
Fell for
Nick
it
said
again.
Oregon, and the less said the better. Oregon are in third place in the conference with one conference loss. Indiana and Ohio State both are lossless. And yeah.
Yeah.
Penn State are
Penn
a
State.
thing. They exist.
Penn State are there. They are in the conference. They are, yeah.
Who would have thought when Fletch, Gary, Sam, and all pick Penn State and Egg picks Purdue, we'd all have
Purdue.
the same record going into
Yeah.
week 9.
Egg will
Well,
say he would have predicted that. That's why he picked them, but I'm not sure I believe him.
and finally, the SEC, Egg, Nick, Sam all said Texas, Fletch said Georgia, Gary said Alabama. And we're the only two who can kind of hang our heads a little bit high at this moment in time. Alabama 4-0 in the SEC. Georgia are 4-1 in the SEC, both with a 6-1 record. Texas A&M are the ones holding the fort down at the top. But we'll see after their very close win
Tight
against
game
Arkansas.
against Arkansas. Mm.
Everything could change. And I, for one, I think we would all love to see Alabama Georgia in the SEC championship game. It's always a great, great, great game.
Always a good game. Always got some meat on the bones, that game.
So those were our conference predictions. That's where we went with at the beginning of the season. Some of us doing better than others, and this is why we love the sport because, well,
Oh,
everything
no.
you thought
Yeah.
at the
It's
start of the
all,
season doesn't
yeah.
exist anymore. It's an
The
entirely different
landscape has
landscape.
changed. The landscape has changed. I'm doing, I'm surprised. I actually thought I'd be shockingly bad, but I know, the ones I'm doing badly on, like Sam Houston, are really bad.
Yeah,
Clemson, really bad. They're kind of pulling the average down, shall we say?
yeah. Um, as far as week 9 goes, we haven't got a full slate yet given to us by
Our friends at DAZN.
our friends at DAZN. What we do have, hence why there's no graphic, is tonight. For those of us in the UK, it'd be too late for you guys now listening at home. Delaware at Middle Tennessee State, just a world-class game of football. We've also got tomorrow night, that is Thursday night, Georgia State at South Alabama. Friday night, we've got Charlotte at North Texas, and we've got Virginia Tech at Cal. On Saturday, so far, we have College Game Day, UCLA at Indiana. That should be a very good game. UCLA on
Should
good
be a good
form
game.
right now.
Yeah,
Indiana
not
still should do
Indiana
some
fly
damage.
high, but that's a banana skin. I that's a bit of a banana skin for Indiana. There, they need to watch out.
Absolutely. Arkansas face Auburn. Miami are at Stanford. LSU are at Texas A&M, and Utah are at Colorado. Um,
Sorry, just suddenly thinking Miami just suddenly had a moment. What we didn't mention, the new home of the MacGuffin.
yes, yes. Well, with Miami were the holders. Now it is Louisville. Louisville beating Miami means they take the MacGuffin.
How do we forget?
I don't know. That was shocking. I even tweeted it out on the night as well.
The MacGuffin has a new home in Louisville
In
for
Louisville,
now.
absolutely.
Yeah, some good games there. That UCLA Indiana game is the one that's tasty to me. That definitely has some meat on it.
Yeah. Those are just the games that are currently announced at the point of recording. There will be more that come through over the next couple of days. We need to.
We hope.
They get slowly released. By the looks of things, this week we've only got one, no, two top 25 games on over the weekend. Not necessarily on the zone, but we'll see.
Mhm.
Ole Miss at Oklahoma and Mizzou at Vandy. Now that's a good game. That's a
That's
good
good.
game.
That's a good game. Come on, DAZN, pull that one out because people will want to see that game. Texas A&M,
Absolutely.
LSU, maybe. But yeah,
Um,
that Mizzou Vandy game is just two QBs who are
oh wait, hang on.
having some fun. Yeah, let's kind of get them in. Let's get them on DAZN,
Oh,
please.
there's also Texas A&M at LSU.
Yep.
Ole Miss at Oklahoma. That one. Mizzou at Vandy. It would be remiss of me not to say that it's the main Michigan derby at the weekend, Michigan State.
Michigan State. No, anyway.
It's in East Lansing, which is it's always
It's
a
in
very,
Michigan.
very fun game. But well, yeah, that is true. It definitely is. And over on the eastern side of Michigan, always a fun game with the Paul Bunyan Trophy at stake. I glad I know that that's a person, and it's not Paul's Bunyan Trophy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
It's not
different
it's not
trophy
it's not the big axe anymore, is it? They don't give a big axe away anymore. I think it's like a wooden trophy now. It used to be a
Yeah.
ruddy great big axe. Yeah.
And fight. There's also Tennessee at Kentucky. Now that'll be a damn good game. And that's going to be a very exciting. Again, Kentucky they play teams close that
Mhm.
should be putting Kentucky away, but they play them close. Big, always a very fun game when Kentucky are involved.
Also, one game to call out, one game to mention, London-bound Kansas Jayhawks have the Kansas State Wildcats visiting this week.
Yes, they do. It's
Like
Kansas on Kansas.
Kansas on Kansas. There ain't. I don't think you're going to be in Kansas anymore after that one.
They're always fun games as well. Like we just is it who's at home? Is it Kansas State who are at
Kansas.
home?
Kansas.
Yes. So they're just Dublin, just left Dublin, and now we've got London bound Kansas. So
Yeah.
it's big matchup for us across the pond who now have affiliations to these teams.
I have tie-ins now. Have reasons to watch that game if we can. Please, DAZN. Thank you very much. Other methods of following that game are available.
USF at Memphis. Now, as Memphis lost a game that they will be very frustrated that they did lose. USF on a tear up right now in Memphis. That's always a really good game and may have top 25 implications. That'll have a lot riding on it. It's always a fun game.
Yep. Anything else really? Yeah, Bama should really. South Carolina, we've mentioned them. I just don't see them getting their act together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing else.
Nothing particularly standing out for you.
I'm looking at it going, there's nothing else there, but Stanford just beat FSU. Wouldn't it be funny if they also beat Miami?
Just going on a Florida-based tear up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just ripping through the state of Florida. Yeah.
There are actually it's getting a bit. These are the best games. USF Memphis is a huge one.
Yeah. Houston, Arizona State, right down there at the bottom, could be interesting as well.
Northwestern Nebraska has me a little bit here because Northwestern are doing okay. They're better than they should be. Nebraska just had that really disappointing loss at the weekend. They'll want to bounce back a little bit. Whether they can or not, it remains to be seen. But that's a game we want to do it, and it's in Nebraska. That's I'm really, really keen to see who walks away with that one.
That could be interesting to keep an eye on then.
Appalachian State Old Dominion, also a fun one. Will have potential conference implications. Excuse me. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. If there's any other games that anyone particularly has an eye on, come and give us a tweet. Come and give us a nope, don't give us a poke. Is that even a thing on Facebook anymore? I don't know.
I think they brought it back. I think they did. They did bring it back, I think. But anyway, don't do that. We don't use Facebook.
No. Well, we have a page, but you can't poke pages, and it's just we don't really use it.
But
Twitter is the place.
Twitter is our home. Come and find us on that.
Twitter's the place where we tend to post. Instagram as well. We do some things on Instagram. It's CFB_UK on Twitter, UK_CFB on Instagram.
Then as part of the wider Asleep at Work network, who tweeted amazingly for Sunday's game.
It was beautiful. Just amazing. So please do come and give us a follow, come and chat to us, come and join us. And if you are ever so inclined, we also have a Discord server, which we invite you so kindly to join. It is free to join. We have college channel. We have an NFL channel. We have a Britball channel, a UFL channel. Why we have that, I don't know. No one's ever used it. We also have other sport channels. We have football. We have basketball. We have ice hockey. The NBA season's just started. College basketball is about to start. These are sports.
The NBA are going to be playing in the UK.
They are.
Stupidly expensive prices.
Yeah.
Stupidly expensive prices.
But all these sports are getting back going. We're about to hit the World Series in baseball. We're about the NHL season's just started, and the Red Wings are doing very, very well, might I say. Apparently, I haven't watched enough of them. The NBA's just started. Yeah, we're into a lot of very, very good season of sport. We've got pretty much all sports are running and going and doing
all the big ones.
So it's so exciting. Come and chat to us in Discord about it. Come and follow us on social media, and we will see you next week. In fact, no, we won't. We will see you on Friday or Saturday with an extra episode of College Football UK Talk with the Union Jack Classic, guys.